Good morning, beauties. Good morning, beloved friends, members, family members, human family members. How is your body? How are you landing in your body today? How is your heart? How are you feeling? What are you revealing to yourself and to the world by way of your thoughts and your actions and your words? So this idea of flow or flowing with, what does that mean really? What does it mean to be in the flow? We hear that a lot. The flow state, the flow. I mean, the first thing that comes to me with this word is the water, right? The rivers, the streams, the movement of water, right, as it moves around, over, under, sometimes through, sometimes even pushing through huge barriers, right? How do we allow ourselves to go with the flow? How do you know what the flow is, right? Well, one of the best ways to know is how are you feeling in your body? If certain experiences in your life are feeling contracted, you are feeling contracted in the face of these experiences, right? Maybe you're feeling rigid. Maybe there is a feeling of, I won't, right? I won't be moved. Now, there is a time and a place for everything. And sometimes I will not be moved is precisely the place you need to be. And often to move with the flow is a very, very effective way to allow yourself to remove that harsh sort of contracted space out of your body, because that in itself produces a lot of bad feelings, right? If it's, I am unmoved in the face of this injustice, and I will be heard, and I will express myself clearly and with power in this moment, right? That's different than I'm in resistance to what is. I'm in resistance to the place that I need to go to, right? Or there might be fear about starting something new, about going with the flow that is clear, right? It's coming to you. It is obvious. You're getting signs, signals, right? Maybe your deep knowing is starting to talk to you, right? Because you've been practicing. You've been practicing pause. You've been practicing lean back. You've been practicing slower breath, slower inhales, long delayed exhales through the mouth with a sound. And then learning how to really, really be deeply in your body, in this vessel that runs, walks, dances, right, moves your soul through this experience of life on earth, through time. I'm doing this because time is a little confusing. The idea of time is no longer as precise as we might have once thought, right? It's a little stretchy these days. So how you move through time and space, right? The spaciousness. If there is a flow of messaging, let's put it that way, right? As I was speaking about the other day, noticing yourself in the day, noticing other people, noticing messages that come to you, repetitions even, right? Repetitions of numbers, repetitions of words that you notice. What you notice matters. What you place importance on noticing, right? Where you take the time, you might not be conscious that you're taking the time to notice certain things. But cultivating this deep awareness space is asking yourself, before you set off into your day, right? Before you start actively doing things, you can say, please help me to notice the most important things for me today. Please help me to attune to the messages and the messengers that come to me today, right? You start to invite, right? Invite the noticing. Become, as I said the other day, a curator, a designer of your experience. Then you can start to see, what is the flow? Where is the flow taking me? What is flowing and what is impeded? What is, to use the water metaphor, flowing, and what is being dammed up, right? Where is something creating a dam, right? A resistance against the flow of water, of the waters of you, your emotional content, but also the flow of the universe that maybe has lots of messages for you in terms of this next season, your next season. Okay? So really attuning. And the way that you can help yourself to attune is to first pay attention to this, your buddy. Okay? Yes, you are, right? Yes, of course, you are, in a sense, your body. And then there's something else that observes, that's observing being in a body. That's when we start to work with the witness perspective. That's why we pause and lean back and slow our breath, so that we can actually become the player, the witness, right? The creator, the creatrix. And you can invite in, right, a deeper knowing when you're in that state, when you're grounded inside the vessel, the vehicle of your being. And you can start then really noticing, asking to notice, asking for assistance, right? If you haven't had experience of working with your guides, right? Or even the idea that you have guides, or maybe you have an active experience of working with your guides or messengers or beings on the other side, or your connection to spirit, to the divine, right? Maybe you already have a really intact relationship in that way. Beautiful. And if you do, evoke it very purposefully right now and always, but in particular in this next couple months of this year, that you activate your connection. Okay? If you haven't felt that you have a connection, simply do your practice, right? Pause, lean back, breathe yourself into your body, slow that breath down whilst leaning back. And ask, simply ask, right? One of my favorites is palms up, just out to the side. I rest and I receive. I rest and I receive. Now, as you practice, right, cultivating this state, this flow state, so that you can get into the flow state, you can start to notice. For some people, right, and the flow state is this as well, where you drop into focus and presence to such a level, right? You may be doing something, right? You're creating an art piece, you're knitting, you're singing, you are dancing, right? For me, flow state happens in the dance. The dance is my favorite flow state. And it once was swimming laps. I haven't done that in a long time, but I would get into a flow state where I would actually not even be, I wouldn't be consciously compelling my body to swim. It was swimming me, and my mind would just expand, and I would just be swimming, right? I'd be in that flow state. So water, right? There's the water element. And now it's dance. And flow state for you might be any number of things. And so that's a version of the flow state, right? Being in the flow, right, can happen all day long when you're noticing and listening and cultivating this inner knowing. Oh, no, I'm going to turn left. Your mind's going, yeah, you always go right. This is the way we go. Because it's so used to patterned response. This is what we do. This is what we were told to do. These are the rules. Your deep inner knowing, after you've cultivated this space by way of practice, coming down and in, you start to experiment. You start to listen. No, it's over here. Oh no, over here. Wait, stop for a second. Let's go in here. Right? Practice with that. Practice that. Allow yourself to see where the flow wants you to go. Right? And this is something that if you haven't been cultivating, right, it just takes a little playful practice, a little experimentation, continuing to stay deeply down and into your body so that you're rooted and grounded, right? You're grounded with the earth, with the mother earth, so that you can listen to the energy information coming in that helps you to navigate from a flow state. Okay? Sound like fun? It actually is really fun. You know what? One of the most wonderful places that really can be helpful, or it's not just one place, but to help you be in the flow state is to travel somewhere that you've never been, right? It doesn't have to be in another country. It can be another town or city near you, right, a landscape that you haven't visited, and that you do not Google everything ahead of time and set up an itinerary. I've got to go here and then we're going to go there. Right? One of my favorite states has been to fly somewhere. Often I did a lot of travel, and it's calling to me again. And land. And yes, I had a place to stay, right? So I would put my things down, and then I would simply walk out the door and start to walk. Yes, I had a smartphone, and I could have Googled every single thing and made a giant itinerary. But I just started walking. Now, these were walkable places, right? Cities that were walkable in different parts of the world. But just starting to walk. And then I would just fail to turn here, and I would turn there, and I would keep walking, right? I think one day I walked about 8 hours, and I realized I don't have the right shoes. These are not good for walking 8 hours. But anyway, I discovered so many different beautiful things. But more than that, I was dropped into this flow state where I trusted the messages that were coming through. I trusted myself. I also put myself into an expanded state where I didn't know with the mind where I was going or what was up ahead. but I trusted that I would be guided, and I was. So, today, in your day, or your evening, or whatever time it is for you, have some fun with creating flow, finding out where the flow is taking you, what messages it has for you. Some of them may be feeling a little risky to the mind, but drop in and see how it feels down deep in your body when you consider some new ideas, new concepts, new ways of being. The flow might tell you that you need to let go of certain things in order to be free to flow more easily. Okay? So play with flow. Listen. Call in your guidance. Find yourself deeply landed in your vessel, your vehicle, your beautiful, beautiful body. And take a few steps in a direction perhaps that you have not taken before, both literally and figuratively. Okay? Sending so much love, so much respect. Talk soon.